So oftentimes we have goals and dreams and we just feel like we're not making the progress that we want. Today, you are going to learn how to overcome procrastination and distraction so you can take steps forward in a way that feels joyful and even easy. To show us how, we are speaking to Alex Ortner. I've never heard of him before. I hear he's a nice guy. Let me tell you a little bit about Alex. Of course, I'm joking. He is my older brother, and he's the Chief Marketing Officer and co-owner, along with Nick and myself, of the Tapping Solution. He is a speaker, author, and entrepreneur. He's the creator of the Tapping Solution Planner, a system to help you transform your energy, focus, and habits. He is also the author of the children's book, Gorilla Thumps and Bear Hugs, a Tapping Solution children's story. We always have a great time chatting. Welcome, Alex.
Hi, Jess. It is so good to be here as always. I can't believe it's another Tapping World Summit. Was this 14 years that we're doing this
14 years.
It is incredible. And I'm excited to be here with you. You've been the host for 14 years. I think we should be most excited and proud of your accomplishment there. It's amazing.
I can't believe I've done anything for 14 years. It really, it really amazes me.
Exactly.
You can't do something like the summit or really any big dreams without having some kind of focus. And now more than ever, it does seem really easy to feel distracted. Why is procrastination just tougher to overcome than ever before?
Yeah, I think, I'm really excited to talk about this topic because procrastination and distraction are really, really challenging in our modern society. We live in a society where technology is getting faster and faster, where there's more and more communication, more and more distraction, more and more of everything all the time. And it really makes it tough. And so I think we have a couple of things that are going on for us. We have emotional distraction. So what I mean by that is the stress, the anxiety, the overwhelm. And we actually have physical distraction, which is the social media, which is the emails. It's this thing right here, which is the number one distraction tool we have in the world right now. It's our phones. And so we have all these distractions that are always vying for our attention on an ongoing basis. And everything's really designed to take our attention. If you've seen, how Facebook and Instagram and all these social media platforms have changed over the years, they've changed to try to keep our attention more and more, to keep us hooked, to keep us going back to it. And so it becomes more challenging to keep our focus. And I think that we're at an age right now where the challenge isn't information. We live in a world where there's an abundance of information. What we're lacking is focus. And it really does make it challenging. I think a lot of the physical distractions then cause all of the emotional distractions that we have. So when we're so overwhelmed by all the things going on, that leads to more anxiety, more overwhelm, more stress, because we can't shut off, we can't turn off, and it makes it really, really challenging. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is what we can actually do about that, right? So what can we do to get ourselves to be more focused and to do more of the things that we want to do? And I'll tell you, no matter if you're aware that you procrastinate, or if you're like, no, I'm a pretty productive person, everybody deals with this issue, because oftentimes, procrastination can look like sitting on the couch, not wanting to do anything at all, or it can also look like I'm being really busy, but I'm procrastinating the things that I know are more challenging, that are going to move my life forward in the direction that I want, and that I'm kind of holding it back on working towards. So all of us, in one way or another, can work on this challenge of procrastination and distraction. So what we're going to do today is really work on how we can become aware of it, what we can do about it, and we can come up with some resources and do some tapping, of course, on this topic.
We all need this. So where do we start?
So a couple of things that we can do, and I'm going to take a three-pronged approach today to actually doing that. So the first thing that we want to do is really to bring our awareness to it, right? So often we can go through a day and not realize that we're not paying attention, or that we're doing the tasks that aren't as important, and we're not aware of it until the end of the day, or the end of the week, or the end of the month, or the end of the year. And we look back and we go, we just didn't get the things done we wanted to do. We were procrastinating. We were putting our focus in different places. So that's the first thing we want to do, is to bring awareness to it. And we also want to bring awareness to just the general challenge we have of distraction, and of what procrastination and focus and productivity really means for all of us. Because the goal for us is not to be perfect. It's not to achieve some level of super success or anything like that. The goal is really to just be a little bit better today than we were yesterday. right? We also live in a society right now with constant comparison on social media and in other ways, where we see everyone else's perfect life and we compare to that and we feel less than. And really what we want to do is to be comparing to ourselves the day before, and to realize that we don't need to strive towards some type of perfectionism in some kind of way. And
Yeah.
the reality is that nobody is super productive all the time. No matter what you see out there, no matter what you see in the media or on social media or anywhere, nobody's focused all the time. Life ebbs and flows. We have our up days, we have our down days, and some days we're more productive than others. And so what we really want to do is to just recognize the areas that we struggle in and how we can go about actually moving forward with that procrastination, moving through the procrastination and the distraction. So that's area number one, is you want to bring awareness to it. So the second thing we want to do is actually develop some kind of a strategy around it, right? So it's one thing to say, okay, I recognize I'm procrastinating right now. I recognize I'm not doing what I want to do. So how do we actually develop a strategy so that when we actually recognize it and see it, we have something that we do to actually change it, rather than feeling kind of stuck and unable to move forward. And so that's one of the big things we're going to work on today, is the strategy, right? So I know one of the things that happens to all of us is that whatever the area it is, maybe we're overwhelmed or stressed, and we go through a day and we go, oh, why didn't I tap? Right? I know I had this tool that I could use and I didn't use it. And so what we want to do is create a strategy so we recognize things, we bring that awareness, and then we actually get ourselves to do the tapping. So we're going to talk about it today. I'm going to talk about something, a procrastination cheat sheet, which we'll actually put in the workbook for the summit. But you can actually build it out today with what we'll be talking about today, your own little procrastination cheat sheet to recognize when you're procrastinating and what you can do to move forward. And so in this procrastination cheat sheet, we're going to work on, what our motivations are for actually doing the tasks we want to do. And just as important, what that resistance is that's keeping us from actually doing those things. And those things, when we figure them out, are going to give us clarity on what to tap on, what to work on, and how to move ourselves forward. And so I said, awareness, number one, develop a strategy, number two, and number three is we want to tap, release, and refocus ourselves so we can get to doing the things that we want to do. And this is where we're going to work on releasing things like guilt and shame and self-judgment and all these labels that we put on around ourselves, these emotions that we feel around procrastination. Because the reality is that too often people label themselves with things like, I'm lazy, I just can't focus, this is who I am. And they don't recognize that it is challenging what we have out there, and that we want to find a way to be a little bit kinder to ourselves and really develop a strategy to move out of it.
hmm I love what you said about the awareness and about our goal being better than we were yesterday without the pressure. And I don't know where I picked this up, but I once heard that it's not achievement that makes us feel good, it's growth. And what
Yeah.
we're doing here is, by having that focus and moving forward, we're having that growth and feeling
Yeah.
good in that growth, and not just relying on the day we reach that certain goal. So I love coming to this in that angle, because we
Yeah.
can take action without all of the pressure that often
Yeah.
leads to burnout.
Yep.
So with that, where do we start when it comes to the tapping? We're like brand new. We're like, okay, it looks like we have a lot ahead of us. Where do we
Yep.
start?
Yep. I think, and I know we talk about this a lot, at the Tapping Solution and through the Tapping World Summit, is that we have to start off by calming it down. So one of the first things we always do is tap to calm it down. And I think especially when it comes to procrastination, is that we have to start with some self-compassion. We have to start by just being a little bit kinder to ourselves. So I'd love to actually, I'm kind of known for talking a lot and then doing the tapping. And I actually want to jump into some tapping right away, because I know for anybody watching that you're probably struggling right now with this thing distracting you and all these things distracting you and all the things going on in our head. And so I think in order to become more present, we can do this exercise as an example of how we become more present with ourselves. And we calm down the distraction first and foremost, so we can get clarity on how we actually go deeper on this. So we're going to do that now. If that works for you? Yeah?
Let's do it.
Awesome. Let's do it. So let's all kind of take a deep breath in together. We'll take a deep breath in and breathe out, and just kind of ground yourself, wherever. Hopefully you're sitting down. If you are moving, just take a breath wherever you are. If you're in the car, whatever you're doing, take another deep breath in and breathe out. And I want you to notice all of the distractions that are in your life right now. And you can I kind of imagine doing this like a little thought bubble popping up above our heads. So I want you to think about, what are some of those different distractions? Maybe for you, it's the social media that's always there. It's the news and what's going on in the world. Maybe it's your email inbox, or what's going on with your finances, or maybe your health, or maybe your relationships or your kids. Notice how all those thought bubbles just kind of pop up there, because there are so many distractions. There are so many things that can keep us from being able to do certain things that we want to do. And so just notice those things and what they are for you. And notice any self-judgment you have around being more focused. When you think about, wow, why can't I just be more focused? Why can't I get things done more? Why can't I be more productive? I see other people getting things done, moving their life forward. Why do I feel like I'm always moving in the wrong direction? Or sometimes I feel like I'm actually moving backwards. Just notice what that is for you. And let's go ahead and actually measure that on a scale of 0 to 10. We're going to measure distraction, right? So on a level of 0 to 10, how distracted or unfocused do you feel right now? With 10 being like, oh, there's just so much going on in my head. I feel so distracted by everything. And 0 being, nope, I'm really present and calm, and there's nothing, that could keep me from being focused right now. So just notice what that is for you on a level of 0 to 10, and to kind of say it in your mind or write it down on a piece of paper, whatever you want to do. And then we're going to just start tapping all together. So we'll start by tapping on the side of the hand, and I'll tap. And of course, Jess will repeat after me, as she always amazingly does. So even though I so often procrastinate.
Even though I so often procrastinate.
And I struggle to get focused.
And I struggle to get focused.
I acknowledge and accept how I feel right now.
I acknowledge and accept how I feel right now.
Even though I'm so often distracted.
Even though I'm so often distracted.
And I struggle to get focused.
And I struggle to get focused.
I choose to breathe in this moment right now.
I choose to breathe in this moment right now.
Even though there is so much distraction in my life.
Even though there's so much distraction in my life.
And I'm always juggling a million things.
And I'm always juggling a million things.
I choose to bring my energy into this moment right now.
I choose to bring my energy into this moment right now.
And we'll move to the eyebrow point. All this distraction.
All this distraction.
Side of the eye. All of this stuff going on in my life.
All of this stuff going on in my life.
Under the eye. All of these things vying for my attention.
All of these things vying for my attention.
Under the nose. I want to find a way to get focused now.
I want to find a way to get focused now.
Chin point. To calm the energy of all these distractions.
To calm the energy of all these distractions.
Collarbone point. To take away the noise in my head.
To take away the noise in my head.
Under the arm. To calm my body and brain in this moment.
To calm my body and brain in this moment.
Top of the head. I so often feel overwhelmed.
I so often feel overwhelmed.
Eyebrow point. There's so much going on in my life.
There's so much going on in my life.
Side of the eye. There's so many things distracting me right now.
There's so many things distracting me right now.
Under the eye. So I choose to bring my presence to this moment.
So I choose to bring my presence to this moment.
Under the nose, knowing that everything is okay.
Knowing everything is okay.
Chin point. That all is well.
That all is well.
Collarbone point. And that I am safe right now.
And that I am safe right now.
Under the arm, calming my energy.
Calming my energy.
Top of the head, allowing myself to relax.
Allowing myself to relax.
Let's just stop there and take a deep breath in. And breathe out. And just notice the energy, and just notice how you relax a little bit. Just kind of feel into your body. Notice your legs in this moment, your arms in this moment, your body, and just how it all kind of just settles a little bit and relaxes a little bit. How did that tapping feel for you, Jess?
I love it. I was like, why didn't I do this before we started? You need to do this before we do anything. Yeah, that was great. And I want to mention too, is that we can tap, for those who are new, you can tap on one side, you can tap on both sides, you can tap with your eyes open. If you want to watch us and where the points are, you can tap with your eyes closed. It's a
Yes,
very
yes,
forgiving process. You just want to get those points.
yes.
So now this is perfect because we're centered, we're more focused. You mentioned earlier the different things we need to look at. I think you started with awareness. So I'd
Mhm.
love to dive into that.
Yeah. Yeah. Awareness is the first thing we want to do is we want to bring awareness to how it is that we go about procrastinating, how we go about getting distracted. And so, as I said, that first thing we wanted to do, which we just did, was just to calm down the distractions, to take away the energy from all those things, because it can be challenging to bring awareness or to find a solution, to figure out what's really going on when we're so distracted. So, as we bring more awareness into this moment, we want to look at what are some of the ways that we each individually procrastinate on an ongoing basis. So I've broken this down into 5 different areas. So the first area we want to look at is actually not something that we all generally realize as a way that we actually procrastinate. And that's on how we get clear in our lives on what we actually really want in our lives and why we want those things. We tend to think that we procrastinate from doing this or that, but sometimes we procrastinate because we don't actually want to do a task. There's other things that we want to do. And so the first thing we want to be aware of is, are we procrastinating actually figuring out what it is that we want in our lives? Right. So this is going to be area number one. The second area that we procrastinate, and here some of these things are a little bit more obvious, is just getting started. Right. How many times have you wanted to exercise but didn't? You just kept procrastinating. I'll start tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes, and I'll start tomorrow, and we keep procrastinating. We procrastinate exercise. We procrastinate changing our food. We procrastinate starting to write. We procrastinate making that call for a new job or whatever it might be, right? We procrastinate just getting started. So you might notice that you're somebody who struggles with that, with actually getting started. The third thing is we procrastinate getting focused, and more importantly, staying focused. Right. So we start a task and then we get distracted. We start a task and we go off into different areas. So we procrastinate actually keeping ourselves engaged in a task, just even in that one moment. The fourth thing is staying consistent. It's one thing, we can all go to the gym one time. We can all do a run one time. The question is, how can we do it consistently? And it's something that we procrastinate doing. We'll say, oh, I did this once. I kind of met a little bit of a need. I'll do it again tomorrow, and then we don't. I'll do it again tomorrow, and then we don't. So we procrastinate staying consistent. And then we procrastinate seeing it through. Right? How many times have you gotten 80% done with a task or a project and then not finished it? Because if you finish it, might be consequences. You might have to publish that book that you wrote, right? Or whatever it might be. And so we'll dive a little bit deeper into that about how we procrastinate seeing things through. So one of the things we want to be aware of is just, how do we individually procrastinate? Are you somebody where you notice that you really struggle with getting started with tasks, or you struggle with staying focused, or you struggle with being consistent with it, where you do something and then you stop and you have to start all over again? Or do you struggle with seeing something through to completion? So you're really good at starting new tasks, starting new projects. You get excited, you get moving on them, you work on them for a week, and all of a sudden they get dropped and you don't see it through all the way to the end. So we want to be aware of what areas of our life, or what areas of completing tasks or projects or goals that we are procrastinating and struggling with. So what we want to do is bring awareness to those different things.
And that's going to be in the workbook as well for those who want to journal. And I do want to mention, if someone's listening to this and they're like, all of the above, I do it
Right.
all, don't
Right.
stress, because I find with doing tapping, even on one aspect, does influence how you show up in different areas with procrastination. And I think it's important to say too that you never solve this forever. It's not like
Right.
you're going to tap and never procrastinate again. This is a tool that you can come back to again and again. This is an interview that you can come back to again and again.
Right. No, and that's a really good point. Again, procrastination isn't something that we're going to tap away and solve all of a sudden. It's something that we're going to consistently have come up. The question is, what do we do about it? Right. So that's why the first thing we do is just bring awareness to it, to go, am I procrastinating? How do I procrastinate? What are the ways that I do it? And then we're going to go about building a strategy to deal with it on an ongoing basis. And then we're going to tap to actually release those things. And so one of the things I want to point out here as well is, I mentioned earlier that one of the things we do with procrastination is we use a lot of I am statements around it. We might go, I am lazy, or I'm just unmotivated, or I'm not focused. And one of the things that I really love when it comes to trying to change a habit is to be aware of those I am statements that you have internally, consciously or unconsciously in your life, and to actually change the language when possible. We do this with tapping as well. Change them to be time-based languages that are empowering. So I'll give you a really quick example, because I know it's easy to go, you know what, I'm lazy. It's just who I am. Instead of just saying that and labeling ourselves, when you recognize that, you can say something like, I'm being lazy right now, but I'm recognizing it. I'm working on it, and I'm going to continue to improve and get better and better every day. Right? That's a much more empowering self-talk that we can have. And it's self-talk that doesn't necessarily feel like you're lying to yourself. Sometimes if you feel like I am lazy and you go, I'm productive, you're like, no, I'm not productive. Whereas if we can just say, you know what, I'm being productive right now. It doesn't mean I am, it doesn't mean I am lazy. If I'm saying I'm being lazy, I'm gonna say I'm being lazy right now, but I'm gonna work on it. I'm continuing, I'm gonna get better and better. So just an important thing to notice with language, because I think the language is so important when we're trying to kind of figure out what to tap on and what to release.
So now we've gotten clear. We have this new awareness of how procrastinating and distracting.
The word is getting tougher and tougher for us. Yes. It's a tongue twister today.
Even though,
Yes.
So now that we have this awareness, you mentioned strategy. So let's talk a bit about that.
Yeah. So again, the strategy is going to be, what do you do when you recognize that you are procrastinating? So we're going to do a couple of different things. This is going to be very much a working tapping session that we're going to do today. If you don't have a piece of paper, go grab a piece of paper. If you got a journal, for those of you that love taking notes, I'm going to mention some things so you can actually write down on that piece of paper or on that journal or wherever you are, so you can create some awareness of what is going on for you, because we're going to use that language to get really specific with our tapping, right? You really need to get specific on what you want to do. So here's what we're going to start with. I want you to go ahead and just think about something that you recognize that you're procrastinating right now, right? Like we all have something where, you can think about with your work or with your health or with relationships or any area of your life. What is it that you're procrastinating right now that you really want to take action on? And we're going to write that down. So whatever that is for you, just notice that and just write it down in your journal or on a piece of paper. So you might say something like, I want to start the book. I want to write a book, or I want to just write in general online. I keep mentioning writing. I think that's what happens for a writer like me. There's lots of other things that we procrastinate in the world as well. But you might want to get yourself to exercise, whatever it is for you. Just notice that and write that down in your planner or journal or wherever you can write right now.
Get your finances organized, go on that date, finish that resume. There's a lot.
That's so many things that we procrastinate on an ongoing basis, right? And so then we're going to do some tapping to calm it down and to eliminate all those distractions. But first we have to figure out, well, what do we actually tap on? How do we go about doing that? And we have to figure out why we're procrastinating, and we have to get more specific with our tapping. So here's what we're going to do. I want you to go ahead and close your eyes. So everybody go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. And visualize yourself actually taking action on what you want to accomplish, right? So actually taking action on the things you want to do, and visualize yourself doing it in a certain time period. So if it's, organizing your finances, as you mentioned, are you going to do that by tomorrow, by the end of the week? When are you going to get that done by? Just notice what that is for you, and notice what kind of comes up when you start to think about that, right? So what emotion comes up for you when you think about actually taking action on this and going to get it done and then completing it? Is it joy, or do you think about it and does dread come up, or overwhelm, or fear? What emotion comes up when you think about actually working on this task that you have to take, that you want to take, most importantly? And what we're going to do is we want to measure what that emotion is on a scale of 0 to 10. So if you can, write that emotion down on a piece of paper so you have it, and just measure it on a scale of 0 to 10, where 10 is that it's really, really strong. So if you're overwhelmed at the thought of taking action at a really high level, that's going to be a 10. Or if you're just really dreading it, you're like, oh, I just don't want to do this, it might be an 8 or a 9. 0 is like, no, you're ready to take action. You feel great. No big deal at all. So that's what we're going to do first, is we're going to measure that emotion. And then we're going to measure our actual procrastination level on this, right? So procrastination on a level of 0 to 10, where 10 is that you're procrastinating it, like you just know that you've been procrastinating, you don't want to do it right now, that you're not getting anybody to move you right now. That's a level 9 or 10. And 0 says you're excited and ready to go. So we're going to measure those two things, so both the emotion that we're feeling and our current level of procrastination. So hopefully everyone's got it written down, got some clarity on that. And now we want to go about actually figuring out the reasons for why we don't want to actually take action. So we're going to look at the resistance that we have to taking action. So if you got that piece of paper, I want you to draw a line right down the middle, make 2 columns, and we're going to write some things down in these 2 columns. So on the left-hand side of this column, on the first column, we're going to write down what's the motivation you have for actually accomplishing this task or goal. So why will you do it? What are all the reasons that are going to push you forward to doing it? So we're going to I'll ask you some questions in a minute to figure this out, but first just write that down. Motivation, why I will do it. And then on the right-hand column, I want you to write down the resistance, right? Why won't you do it? This is almost like we're doing like a pros and cons list right now to actually getting something done. So we're going to write down again on the right-hand side, what is that resistance? Why won't you do it? And here we're going to talk about, the fear that we might have, some of the downsides to accomplishing something, the pain that we have, all these different things. And let's go ahead and measure right now. We're going to measure again. So your resistance to taking action on this, how strong is it from 0 to 10? So resistance 0 to 10 on taking action on this task or moving forward with this goal, 10 being lots of resistance, 0, no resistance. And put that down on the right-hand side in that column. And then let's go to the left-hand column again. How much motivation do you have right now when you think about being motivated to do this task? Are there things that are driving you like, oh yeah, I'm super motivated? No, not really. So again, motivation is going to be a 10, really motivated. I know that kind of feels the opposite. Normally we want to bring a number down with tapping, but it would feel kind of weird if we said, oh, I'm motivated at a level 0, which would be good. So we're going to say motivation is a 10 here, that it's really strong, and a lack of motivation is a 0. You mark where it is for you. And let's go ahead and all together, let's take another deep breath in, because I'm going to ask some questions to kind of figure out what we need to tap on. So let's take a deep breath in together and breathe out. And so going back to that right-hand side, and when you think about what you want to accomplish, and when you think about that resistance, what's the downside of actually completing this task or project, right? So if you completed it, what's the downside of it? What could go wrong if you actually were able to accomplish this and get it done? Because sometimes we don't move forward in completing something because we feel like there are negative consequences to actually getting those things done. So if you did this, if you completed this task or goal, what could go wrong, right? What could go wrong? What's the downside of doing that? And so who might be upset at you if you actually fail at this, right? So if you push forward in doing this and you went to do it and you failed, who might be upset at you? Just notice what comes up for you. No right or wrong answer. You might say, oh, if I did this, well, my husband or my wife would be upset at me, right? Because I put myself out there, I took some risk and I failed at it, right? If that's starting a new business or something like that for you. And now another question is, who would be upset at you if you completed this, right? If you completed this task or goal, who would look at you and judge you or be upset at you, right? So sometimes there can be people who are upset at us when we complete something, or upset at us if we fail at something. Just
right.
Notice what
or
comes
someone
up for
who's
you.
like, you're telling a friend, sorry, I can't hang out today because this is what I'm focused on. Being able to achieve things, we oftentimes have to create boundaries to create space for that focus. Who are the people who wouldn't like the fact that we're now doing something different?
Right now that we're putting ourselves out there, working to grow in some way, who's going to say like, who do you think you are trying to, put yourself out in this way to get in better shape or to start the business or whatever it might be. So it's important to notice how we would be impacted by other people if we actually completed this task or goal, or if we didn't complete this task or goal. So what will others think of you if you complete this? Really important thing to ask. Now we want to go more specifically on us, right? So ask yourself, why can't you specifically complete this task? Is there something wrong with you? Are you not capable? This is where we're going to notice some of those I am statements, like, oh, I can't do this because I'm lazy, or, my resistance is that I'm lazy, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough. I don't deserve to have this. Just notice what comes up for you and just write that down, right? Write it down or just think about it to yourself and just notice what comes up for you, right? And also another question is, what are you rebelling against? What are you rebelling against in not completing this? One of the things I talk about with my wife sometimes is that, with having 3 kids and working all day and after school activities and all this stuff, it can feel like there's no life for us at the end of the day. And I know this is a common thing with parents is that they rebel on going to sleep because they want to have some time for themselves. And so we don't go to sleep when we know we should. We procrastinate it. We stay up just on our phones or watching TV because we want to rebel against, feeling like we have no time. So how is it that you feel like you rebel in getting this task done? Who are you rebelling against? That you maybe you shouldn't be, but there's a part of you like, yeah, I don't want to do this because I want to rebel on this. Just notice that for yourself. Society, right? Exactly.
Society.
Right? Or I don't want to do this task because I don't like my boss and I don't want my boss to tell me what to do and I don't want to do it. Right? Or I'm rebelling against society because society tells me that I should be thin and I should be exercising all the time and I don't want to. I want to eat whatever I want and not do it. Right? There's lots of ways that we rebel in actually procrastinating and actually doing the things we want to do. So that's one question. Another question, what are you afraid of with this task? Right? What are you afraid of doing? If you do this, what could go wrong? What fear is there around completing this goal or task that you have in your mind? Another thing to think about is, what do you feel when you think about starting or completing the task? What do you actually feel? Do you feel anxiety? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel, whatever it might be, just notice what you feel. All right, so those are lots of little questions that we can ask to try to figure out what it is, what's the underlying resistance that we have to actually taking action on a particular task. Those might be some of the reasons for why we are procrastinating that we're not even aware are actually there. So now let's move over to the motivation side, right? Like, how do we find our motivation? What is our motivation for actually getting this task done or this goal done or whatever it might be? So here's some questions to answer here that you can write down on that side of the chart, of the column, right? So how will this make you feel when you complete it? So just think to yourself right now for a moment. You take a deep breath in and breathe out, because now we're thinking about the motivation that we have. How will this make you feel when you complete it? And just visualize that. What's the upside of completing this? Right? What's the upside of completing this? What will other people think about you? What will they say about you that's positive? Right? Are you going to get rewarded in some way? Who's going to say something nice to you? Who's going to be proud of you? Right? Who will be proud of you or see you in a better light if you actually complete this? Right?
Or a sense of relief that you finally did it.
Right? Exactly. What's that emotion that would come up because you actually completed it? Maybe you're going to be proud of yourself or relieved or excited for what you accomplished. What is it that you feel there as well? Right? And then what will you get materially if you complete this? Maybe if it's starting a business, you might have more money, more success, or whatever might be the case. What will you get materially from actually completing this? And it might be something that you won't get something materially, but it's just a question to ask to kind of notice what's there for us. Right? Just notice all those different things, all the motivations that you have that you can use to actually push you forward. Right? So all those questions we have now, we have that right side with our resistance, we have that left side with our motivation. These are the things that give us an idea of what we need to tap on. And we're kind of going a little bit slower and longer through this process right now. But if you were doing it on any task on any given day by using that procrastination cheat sheet where you're like, oh, I'm procrastinating, let me go look through these questions and just notice. Let me ask myself these questions. Oh, you know what? This is why I'm resisting. Or, oh, you know what? I don't have much motivation. I need to find some motivation around this. We're going to use that language we use here to actually do a round of tapping here all together. So you ready to do some more tapping here?
I am. And this is so great because so often I hear people say, I just don't know how to tap by myself. I don't know what to say when I'm tapping. So with this cheat sheet, there you have it. When it's the resistance, you can say those words. So yes, I am ready to do some tapping.
Yeah. And sometimes we just need to be prompted with questions to figure out what it is, right? As you said, we struggle to find the language, and this is the power of questions, the power of, working with a coach or doing, tapping meditations or doing a session like this, is that you have somebody else asking you questions, bringing up different ideas of what the challenge might be for you, because we all have common challenges that we deal with on an ongoing basis. So let's go ahead and let's take a deep breath in all together. Let's go ahead and breathe in and breathe out. And we're going to start by tapping on the negative of what we feel, the negative of what's going on there. And so just notice for you all those negatives. Just look at that piece of paper that you have. And we're going to start tapping on the side of the hand. Repeat after me. Even though I have all this resistance,
even though I have all of this resistance,
I acknowledge and accept what I feel right now.
I acknowledge and accept what I feel right now.
Even though I have all this resistance to taking action,
even though I have all this resistance to taking action,
all this resistance to being focused,
all this resistance to being focused,
I acknowledge and accept this resistance right now.
I acknowledge and accept this resistance right now.
Even though it's frustrating to have all this resistance,
even though it's frustrating to have all of this resistance,
and I really want to find a way to get focused,
and I really want to find a way to get focused,
I acknowledge and accept what I'm feeling right now.
I acknowledge and accept what I'm feeling right now.
And now we're going to move to the eyebrow point. Remember, you can do one side, the other side, both sides. I always like to do one side when I'm on camera, just so you can see my face. And
I'm just like,
you can
get all it.
You like to get it all in as much as you can. I love it. I love it. So look at that piece of paper for you, and you can have it there in front of you. We're going to kind of fill in some of the blanks. And if for some reason we do one and you don't know what it is, it's okay. We just keep moving through it. So I want you to repeat after me and fill in the blanks. The downside of completing this task or goal is?
Downside of completing this task or goal is?
And just fill in that blank for yourself. And then let's move to the side of the eye. If I fail, I will feel like, and fill in that blank.
If I fail, I will feel like.
Great. Moving under the eye. If I fail, the person that will judge me is?
If I fail, the person who will judge me is?
And just fill in that blank for you. Under the nose, if I succeed, the person that will judge me is?
If I succeed, the person who will judge me is?
Moving to the chin point, remember, no wrong or right answers here. If you don't have something on a particular answer, that's okay too. So on the chin point here, I can't complete this because, and fill in that blank.
I can't complete this because.
And moving to the collarbone point, I can't complete this because I am, and fill in that blank.
I can't complete this because I am.
Awesome. All that does is helps us to get specific with our tapping to make sure we're recognizing and acknowledging what it is that we're feeling in any particular moment. So continue to repeat after me. I'm rebelling against doing this task.
I'm rebelling against doing this task.
Going to the top of the head, I'm rebelling because, and fill in that blank.
I'm rebelling because.
And we'll move to the eyebrow point. I don't want to complete this task because I'm afraid, and fill in that blank.
I don't want to complete this task because I'm afraid.
And moving to the side of the eye, I simply can't get myself to focus because.
I simply can't get myself to focus because.
And let's move to under the eye. Now we're going to just use more general language, but hopefully that gave you some specifics. Feel free to change the language at any time for what's right for you. I have all this resistance in my body.
I have all this resistance in my body.
Under the nose, to taking action and moving forward.
To taking action and moving forward.
Chin point, I just keep procrastinating.
I just keep procrastinating.
Collarbone point, I really want to get this done.
I really want to get this done.
Under the arm, or at least part of me does.
Or at least part of me does.
Top of the head, part of me is holding me back.
Part of me is holding me back.
Eyebrow point, I have fears.
I have fears.
Side of the eye, I'm worried about what others will think or say.
I'm worried about what others will think or say.
Under the eye, so I hold myself back.
So I hold myself back.
Under the nose, all this resistance in my body.
all this resistance in my body.
Chin point, I want to find a way to release it now.
I want to find a way to release it now.
Collarbone point, so I choose to breathe and relax in this moment.
So I choose to breathe and relax in this moment.
Under the arm, knowing that I am safe.
Knowing that I am safe.
Top of the head, I don't need to stress about what others think.
I don't need to stress about what others think.
Eyebrow point, or I can at least choose to release that stress.
Or I can at least choose to release that stress.
Side of the eye, I am safe moving forward with this task.
I am safe moving forward with this task.
Under the eye, I am capable of achieving this.
I'm capable of achieving this.
Under the nose, I can do this.
I can do this.
Chin point, I won't always be focused.
I won't always be focused.
Collarbone point, but I can recognize my procrastination.
But I can recognize my procrastination.
Under the arm and tap to release it.
And tap to release it.
Top of the head, I can release distraction and procrastination.
I can release distraction and procrastination.
Eyebrow point, by releasing this resistance from my body.
By releasing this resistance from my body.
I'll go to the side of the eye, and here we're going to do some positive tapping on some of that motivation, some of those phrases that we had before. So just answer this, or just fill in the blank here. When I complete this task, I will feel.
When I complete this task, I will feel.
And just fill in that blank for you. Moving to under the eye, the upside of completing this task is.
The upside of completing this task is.
Under the nose, if I complete this task, I will get, and fill in that blank.
If I complete this task, I will get.
Moving to the chin point, when I complete this task, the person that will be most proud of me is.
When I complete this task, the person who will be most proud of me is.
Collarbone point, when I complete this, I will feel, and fill in that blank.
When I complete this, I will feel.
Under the arm, I know I can complete this task because.
I know I can complete this task.
Moving to the top of the head, I no longer need to rebel.
I no longer need to rebel.
I choose to work and complete this task or goal.
I choose to work to complete this task or goal.
Move to the eyebrow point, I choose to move forward.
I choose to move forward.
Side of the eye, releasing any fears that I have.
Releasing any fears that I have.
Under the eye, I am enough to get this done.
I am enough to get this done.
Under the nose, I am worthy of moving forward.
I'm worthy of moving forward.
Chin point, it's going to feel so good to get this done.
It's going to feel so good to get this done.
Collarbone point, it will release so much stress and anxiety.
It'll release so much stress and anxiety.
Under the arm, I'm so excited to get this done.
I'm so excited to get this done.
Top of the head, I am safe getting this done.
I am safe getting this done.
Back to the eyebrow point, I choose to take action now.
I choose to take action now.
Side of the eye, and move my life forward.
And move my life forward.
Under the eye, in the direction that I want.
In the direction that I want.
Under the nose, I can do this now.
I can do this now.
Chin point, I choose to take action now.
I choose to take action now.
Collarbone point, knowing that I am safe moving forward.
Knowing that I am safe moving forward.
Under the arm, and that I am excited to get this done.
And that I am excited to get this done.
And one more time on the top of the head, I am safe.
I am safe.
Let's stop there and take a deep breath in and breathe out. And just notice how you feel in your body. Notice what came up for you. There was lots of different things that could come up for us as we were doing that tapping on the different resistance that we have, on the motivation that we have to move forward. And so what we're going to do now is kind of go back and check back in again, right? We did tapping, we measured beforehand, we're going to measure afterwards. So let's go to the resistance. So if you look at that list of resistance that you wrote down, if you happen to write it all down, so how strong is that resistance right now on a scale of 0 to 10? Where 10 is that it's really high and 0 is that it's nothing's there. Maybe it came down a little bit, maybe it came down a lot, and you don't feel like those things that you wrote before are strong, that resistance is strong. So just notice what that is for you right now and write down that number if you can. And now let's look at the motivation column, right? When you look at all those things that are motivating you, that are pushing you forward. So how strong is your motivation right now to take action on a scale of 0 to 10? Where 10 is like, I'm ready to go. Let's go. I want to finish this video right now so I can go and take action on the things I want to do. How strong is that from 0 to 10? 10 is really strong, really good here. And 0 is that you're really not feeling any motivation at all. So just notice what that is for you. And just notice for yourself what came up for you during all that tapping. What are some of the things where you noticed, hey, I've got a lot of resistance around this, and maybe on this particular task or goal. And that resistance is probably in other areas of my life too. Maybe it's that, you're not taking action because you worry about how other people are going to judge you, whether that's around starting a business or losing weight or finding a new relationship or becoming more financially successful. You notice that you're worried about what other people will think or say. Just notice those things for yourself and notice all those motivating factors for you, right? Like what motivates you? What drives you to want to take more action and grab onto those things and build those things and add more energy to those things that allow you to move forward and become motivated. Yeah. So hopefully this task here, this process was helpful. I wanted to make sure to create something to not only do it in this moment, but also to be able to do it at any given time when we are feeling unmotivated. So we can bring awareness to it. We can have a strategy in place. So you can literally have your little procrastination cheat sheet there. So you can know that you're procrastinating and then have a strategy for it. And then so you can actually figure out why are you procrastinating on this, whatever thing that you're holding off on doing in that moment, that 3-step process.
What I love about that is you can do it for big and little things. You can look big and think about starting a business, but to be completely honest with you might make fun of me. I was thinking about my closet. I have this closet in my bathroom. It drives me crazy every time I open the door. It is such a mess. I just can't seem to clean it because I am like, oh, I'm too busy. And it just seems too overwhelming. And as I was tapping, I was like, I should be thinking about something deeper. But I was like, no, all I'm thinking about is this closet. And how relieved. And then, what's interesting about tapping is you get those aha moments. You get that moment where you go, oh, I can do it on this day. This is a good time to do it. Yeah. You start tapping and you begin to get that clarity that actually makes taking the action easier because you're able to strategize better and go, oh, I can call this person and ask for help, or I can, try something different. So I love how we can do big and little things. And anytime we have that fear for a bigger thing of, oh, I might be judged, here we are with the tapping. This is what we go back to again and again. And it's part of growth. It never ends.
Right. And I love that example because it's true. Sometimes it's when we're feeling like we're procrastinating, it's the small actions that build into bigger actions and bigger actions and bigger actions. So it's not to say, hey, you need to stop procrastinating on the big things. You can even stop procrastinating on the small things like organizing your desk or clearing clutter or cleaning out a closet, whatever it takes to allow you to start moving forward and building confidence in yourself that you can do the things you want to do and that you can start to believe in yourself, in the promises you make to yourself to actually move forward in creating that life that you really want.
All right, I got to go clean my closet. Thank you so much, Alex, for being with us. And I hope people comment and share with us the little and big steps that they're taking because we should celebrate them all. So thank you for helping us take it one step at a time. I appreciate it so much.